All right, forget the number on your driver's license for a second. Today, we're going to talk about a completely different kind of age. This one is actually written in your DNA, and it holds the real key to your health and how long you live. See, it's not about how many years you've been around, but how well you've lived them. So, let's dive right in.
So let me ask you this. Are you really as old as your calendar says you are? I mean, really think about that. Because what science is starting to show us is that your chronological age, the number of birthdays you've had, is actually a pretty terrible way to measure your true biological state.
Okay, so that leads us perfectly into our first section, your body's true age. And we're going to go way beyond just counting birthday candles.
So on one hand, you've got your chronological age. Super simple, right? It's just how many years you've been on this planet. It's a fixed number. But then, on the other hand, you have your biological age. And this is where it gets really, really interesting. This is basically an estimate of how much wear and tear your body has gone through. It's a variable number, one that tells your unique life story. And this is exactly why you can have two people who are both, say, 40 years old, but they seem worlds apart when it comes to their health and their energy, right? It's all because of this unique mix of our lifestyle, our environment, and our genetics. All those things come together to set our biological age. All right, so now we know what it is, but why should you care? Well, that brings us to our next section, the age that matters. We're about to see just how powerful this number really is and why it's such a huge predictor of your future health. This leads us to a really important concept called the age gap. It's pretty simple. It's just the difference between your biological age and your actual chronological age. So the big question becomes, is your body aging faster or slower than the calendar says it should be?
And this is where it gets, well, pretty serious. Check this out. For every single year your biological age is higher than your chronological age, your risk of mortality, your risk of death, jumps by a staggering 20 to 25%. Let that sink in. This isn't just some abstract number. This is a massive difference.
And you can see it right here on this chart. It's super clear. If there's no age gap, your risk is low. But as that biological age starts to accelerate it past your real age, that risk just climbs and climbs. It's a really powerful direct link.
But look, this isn't just about lifespan, how long you live. It's really about your health span. How many of those years are healthy and vibrant? And if you have a higher biological age, it basically means a shorter health span. You start seeing these major age-related diseases, things like hypertension, diabetes, heart disease, stroke, even cancer. They just show up way earlier than they should.
Okay, so you're probably wondering, how on earth do they even measure this stuff? Well, that's where the science gets super cool. We're going to dive into how scientists are decoding what's called the epigenetic clock to measure your true age with just incredible accuracy.
So what are epigenetic clocks? Well, think of your DNA as this huge instruction manual. Over time, little chemical marks, or tags, get added to the pages. This process is called DNA methylation. And these clocks are basically advanced models that can read those tags, and by analyzing the pattern of those tags, they can calculate your biological age with stunning precision. And the power of these clocks is it's mind-blowing. There's one model with the kind of scary name Grim Age that's so accurate it can predict your risk of death better than traditional things we look at, like your smoking habits, your BMI, or even if you already have certain diseases. It's almost like a crystal ball for your health, but it's based on hard science. And you don't have to take my word for it. Look at the research. This quote basically says that a significant jump in your Grim Age score is linked to a roughly 24 to 31% higher chance of mortality. And here's the kicker. That's even after they account for all the usual suspects, lifestyle, chronic conditions, all of it. This clock is clearly tapping into something much deeper about our biology. Okay, I know that all sounds a little grim, but don't worry, because this is where the story gets really hopeful. This is the good part. What if I told you that this clock isn't set in stone? Let's talk about how you can actually take control and maybe even reverse it. This right here, this is the most exciting part. The big news is that your biological age is actually way more responsive to change than your chronological age. I mean, you can't stop your next birthday from coming, right? But this number, this one you can actually do something about. So, how do you actually do it? Well, it comes down to focusing on the things you can actually control. We're talking about your body composition, your fitness level, obviously your smoking status, and your overall metabolic health. Think of these as the levers you can pull to start winding that biological clock backwards.
And the takeaway here is just crystal clear. When you improve these factors, you can actually lower your biological age. And what does that mean? It means you're potentially extending not just your lifespan, but more importantly, your health span. You're adding more good, healthy years to your life.
So I'll leave you with this thought. Your lifestyle, every single day, is constantly setting your biological clock. Your choices are either winding it forward or winding it back. So the real question is, what time does your clock say?